stay of execution. So much to talk about concerning the value-added tax. FIRS looking out to the assistance from the National Assembly. Look, put this on your legislative list. And so much to discuss about the value-added tax. Who should be in charge of the value-added tax? Where should the value-added tax, VAT, be placed? Who should collect it? The state or the federal government? What is the sharing formula? You heard a state will generate a couple of billions and they will get just a meager percentage, while a state that has not been able to raise up to the standard of what you have to bring to the table, and you're still getting something larger. The controversy concerning the value-added tax is one thing we will look into today, and I want to say thank you, as always, for being here. Desmond to the G's, definitely the man behind here, and running us perfectly to make sure that you listen to us and you hear viewers very wonderfully. And to say a big thank you as well to Adedamola Jiboye, Arakunrin Adedamola Jiboye. It's now a standard Arakunrin at this point in time. Ridwan Oyelakin is here. Small photograph. Thank you for always making it happen. And Julia Diojo and Sheifumi, they're both here as well. Once again, let me welcome you to YS Live on Splash 105.5 FM. Before we go in depth, before I begin to introduce my guest to us this morning, so much is happening from the dailies. We will look at it as well. And let's just quickly check out some of the stories making the rounds from the Punch newspaper that we've been able to pick out some of the headlines for today. I have this story, and my guest will both analyze some of these stories as well. Military onslaught in Zamfara. Dislodged bandits flee southwards. Gunmen strike in Kogi, Kaduna, Ekiti. There were strong indications yesterday, Monday, that bandits fleeing the military onslaught in Zamfara state were moving to states in the south. Top security sources who confided in the Punch correspondent said security agents in other states had been alerted to be on the lookout for the fleeing bandits. It was also gathered that the southwest states had put the regional security outfit, Amotekun, on the alert following intelligence reports that bandits being dislodged from Zamfara state were fleeing southwards. The Amotekun Corps commanders in Ekiti, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo states in separate interviews stated that residents of the states had been told to be vigilant and guard against infiltration by the fleeing hoodlums. Rotimi Johnson, Honorable Jiasakwe, a public affairs analyst and the special advisor, special assistant, media to Senator Kola Balogun's seated very close to me, to the right. Glad to see you. When we saw, I told him Happy New Year. It's been a very long time. Honorable, thank you for joining me. I'm so glad to have you join us.
It's always a pleasure. It's nice seeing your face again. And of course, Desmond too.
Desmond knows how to find his way. And definitely, I still have Ayuade Oyedinron, a seasoned banker, BSc, Accounting, Unilag, MSc, Banking and Finance, University of Ibadan, the great school. I want to say good morning and thank you for joining me as well.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Military onslaught in Zamfara. Gentlemen, there has been that bombardment both from the air, land, and everything. Now these bandits are fleeing Zamfara. They are looking for safe abode, probably in the south here. What's your take on that? Honorable Jasakwe?
It's a very good development, but it will need, that to be sustained over a period of time. For us to be able to sigh for relief. Yes, they should be bombarded, but we have allowed it to fester for too long before we start hearing such news. So we need a consistency to dislodge them completely. And beyond just general bombardment, we also need a situation where we have cases of failed attempts at kidnapping. You know, you kidnap, government rescue them successfully without payment of ransom. You know, that's what will make it sink in the heart of these hoodlums that, look, this is not a profitable venture, that they will suffer loss. Until they get to the point where they know that, because every criminal element will always, you know, want to go into this criminal enterprise. But knowing that you can run, but you can't hide, is what makes a lot of people not to think of crime. You know, that's why they always come back to say, Ishuni. But when you know that if you attempt this thing,
and you're caught,
is a waiting failure. And we need to get to that point. Government waited for too long, but this is a sharing news and we must commend our military.
Johesu writes in Gige, tackles NMA on welfare demands. Taken from the Punch newspaper, the Joint Health Sector Unions has written to the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, on the welfare demands of its members. The union, in a letter dated September 10, 2021, Johesu also knocked the Nigeria Medical Association for allegedly meddling in its affairs, adding that the best welfare conditions were enjoyed by physicians in the civil service. The letter, titled Notice of 15-Day Ultimatum and Commencement of an Indefinite Strike Action by Johesu, Matters Arising, addressed to the Minister of Labour and Employment, was signed by Johesu Chairman Comrade Bio Josiah. But brother, I know you're on the financial aspect of things, but I know there's been periods whereby your unions probably had issues with government, and it's always been on the level whereby it has to be strike. But I keep asking, why should it get to the level of strike before government will wake up to its responsibility?
Thank you. It's unfortunate that we allow it to go that way. A lot of negative attributes always rise up when you allow issue to drag. Fine, it's rarely to have 100% of a perfect association or a perfect establishment, because if you are looking for perfection, you go there. Perfection is with Almighty. But be as it may, when we have guidelines, we have roadmap. Most of the time, we normally derive from all those roadmap. And there's limitation to human endurance. And that's why most of the time, it always gets to that. Be as it may, in ranking, health sector, we know how important it is. This is something you cannot toy with. And that means I will have allowed you to say by ranking, in terms of our attention to issue, is very, very key. This one is coming from the eighth angle. We have to act fast. We need to act fast. In addition to that, the union on their own too, there's a kind of way they should have look at it, because they know the role they are playing is very, very key. However, division among the workforce to an extent always creates some kind of value. The junior staff will say the senior one are cheating us, and that's why in most cases they bring a lot of trouble. Rather than you getting a coordinated approach, this one will say they pay them so much, they have not paid us. They pay them so much, they have not paid us. And to an extent, the listening body will now enjoy that crisis. And that's why among them, whether the junior or the senior, whether senior association or junior association, there's supposed to be a kind of a coordinate between the two of them. We are fighting this one now. Can we temporize this? Can we come the same way? To an extent, to the affect us. Because gladly, they will just come into that and say, see, we have even prepared certain things for them, but here we are, they are not even coordinated.
Okay, let me just hold it down. Yeah, and let me bring Honorable Jasope here as well, because still talking about the health and the Buhari about strike, court stuff. NAD wants Buhari to lead talks. Falana heads legal team. Striking members of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors have called on President Muhammadu Buhari to involve them in subsequent meetings with the Nigerian Medical Association. This was as the association added that human rights lawyer Femi Falana SAN will be leading the NAD legal team to the National Industrial Court tomorrow, Wednesday. The association vice president, Adeojo Arume, disclosed this in an interview. It was reported that NMA, barely 48 hours after meeting with the president, met with the leadership of NAD and called on the association to call off its ongoing strike. Now, this to you, Honorable Ojesope here. Nigeria Medical Association, the body that surrounds the medical line in Nigeria. They met with Mr. President, but NAD, resident doctors, they are on strike. Why were they segregated out of this? Why were they not allowed to meet with the president? What's your opinion concerning that? Is there something NMA is hiding, or the government themselves don't want to see NAD?
Well, I wouldn't know the details of that, should I call it disparity? But I know that they are in the same profession. Though one is like the senior, because it's the general
body.
The general body, that's the NMA, while the NAD is the resident doctors. But I still believe very strongly that the incessant strike in all sectors in Nigeria is as a result of leadership failure. Because there have been a lot of promises given, promises defaulted on. And that's why they are requesting for the president. Okay, if the chief executive himself comes out to make promises, maybe there will be a difference. And the Minister for Labor, Dr. Ngige, has not shown any kind of solidarity as a medical person himself. In fact, his comments have been very, very uncomplimentary in the recent times. And I think that's why there's a kind of trust deficit among them. That's why they're requesting for the president himself. But why the NMA is not carrying the NAD along, I wouldn't know. Because there's always this professional rivalry among, associations and organizations. But let's see how it goes. But my own personal feeling about all this strike is that the public tend to suffer irreversibly, while these professionals eventually get paid their arrears. That is very, very unfair. And we can't continue with this kind of injustice and desire that God will even be glad with this country. Because even those countries that are not so religious, they are fair to one another. Because it is very fair. So many people will have died now.
Absolutely.
It's irreversible due to this strike. But when you come back on to duty, you get paid all your arrears. I have a lot of friends among them, but I'm not happy with this development. It is too common.
We will just, one of these days, we'll come look at that and we'll have the NAD president or thereabouts. Because just as you rightly stated, the masses bear the brunt of all this eventually. They will still get their money. Everything will still be resolved. But then, can a life be brought back? So much to discuss with you this morning, and we'll definitely get down to the business of the morning very shortly. And this morning, we will be looking at the value-added tax, the pros and cons. Who should administer VAT? Who should be in control of the VAT? Is VAT problematic in a federation? Is VAT practice on an input-output mechanism in Nigeria? So much to discuss today. Lagos and Rivers State. Other states are watching. So much to discuss. My analysts, my guests are here. But let's take a short commercial break. And when we return, we'll get to the business of the morning.
In my 25 years of practice as an obstetrician, I get asked a lot of questions from expectant and pregnant mothers. One regular question is, what supplement is good for me and my baby during pregnancy? I always recommend Operon 6 because of the positive feedback I've gotten from my patients over the years. Operon 6 contains essential minerals and vitamins necessary for the healthy development of baby and mother before, during, and after pregnancy. Give you and your baby the nutrients you deserve with Oberon 6. Oberon 6. Healthy mother, healthier baby.
Wow, the detergent can come again. Wow. You dey wash plenty and you dey say, wow. You 50 win a millions. As you dey wash with, wow. Jump 50K every day. Wow. If on that time to take calculate, wow. Million naira full ground. If you want to know how, just check the pack. Wow. Get your own car though, you wash with wow. Detergent, you dey wash million naira bracket. Go wow, detergent promo. This promo will end for the 25th of October 2021.
Iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná a máa fúnni ní ìmọ́lẹ̀ a sì máa mú ìdẹ̀rùn wá láti wá dènà ìjàmbá iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná. Ojúlówó wáyà tàbí kébù ló yẹ ká fi fa iná nínú ilé, lọ́fíìsì àti nínú ìlú. Pure wires and cables ní àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ mọ̀nàmọ́ná àti àwọn agbaṣẹ́ṣe yàn láàyò. Ojúlówó ni, kì í bó lára, kò kì í jóná àbáàdì, kì í kán sínú, ó sì fini lọ́kàn balẹ̀. Ìdí nìyí tí Standard Organization of Nigeria fi fòǹtẹ̀tẹ̀ tí Nigeria Electrical Contractors náà fi dìbò fún. Bí copper cable ṣe wà ní aluminium cable ń bẹ nípele lówó tí kò gún pa. Pure wires and cables tó jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ Kaman ló ṣe ojúlówó wires and cable jáde. Olú iléeṣẹ́ Pure Wires and Cables Limited wà ní Afrin's Compound, Fort Gate, number 122/132, Oṣòdì Apapa Expressway, Ìyànà Ìsọlọ̀ bus stop, Lagos. Ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wọn ní 080-803-03257. Pure Wires and Cables. Ìrọ̀rùn fi iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná.
Bode, now what do you dey find for kitchen?
My dear, na spoon to drink off medicine.
Honey, take comics. Just here, drink and get relief.
Yes, so summer comics for scratch throat. Comics get dextromethorphan and guaifenesin. Just here, drink and get relief from cough. Ide kulele to drink.
Are they relieved now? I love comics.
Now, Orange Drugs Limited, they distribute comics. Products make you drowsy. If symptoms never stop after 3 days, make you waka go see your doctor. Comics, Ide kulele.
Àti dánwò pẹ̀lú òṣùwọ̀n apakòkòrò máa ń mú inú àwọn ìkókó dùn pẹ̀lú rọ́bà lẹ́gbẹ̀gbẹ́ àwọn ìpele oníhò tó wà níta ìdènà tí kìí fàyè gba jíjò tó sì mú inú àwọn ìdílé dùn pẹ̀lú owó rẹ̀ tí kò gani lára.
Today is a good day. A good day to take a walk. A good day to reach for your goals. A good day to finish reading that book. A good day to connect with your friends while doing the things you love. A good day to shoot your shot. A good day to enjoy life to the fullest with Malta Guinness.
Malta Guinness. Enjoy a world of good.
Òkùnkùn parada ojúlọ̀bàrà Aba capsule ojú ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ara Èdùmàrè má gbòde ọ̀sán lọ́wọ́ wa àkànṣe gbòógì tá a fi mọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ ṣe fún ìtọ́jú ìmọ́lẹ̀ tí ò mọ́lẹ̀ kedere tàbí tó ń wò báyìí ojúlọ̀bàrà Aba capsule egbògi oníkóró ni NAFDAC ló ń tẹ̀ gbà authentic clear vision ló ṣe é wà ní chemist àti pharmacy stores lágbègbè rẹ ẹ tún lè ríra lọ́fíìsì authentic clear vision tó wà business complex lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ Amídù Ajíbádé shopping complex gate Ìbàdàn àǹfààní ńlá wà fún alágbàtà tó ń kó ní pálípálí ẹ pè 08061959663 ojúlọ̀bàrà Aba capsule tí o bá sí àyípadà bó o ṣe fẹ́ tètè lọ rí dókítà rẹ o. ojúlọ̀bàrà Aba capsule ilé iṣẹ́ authentic clear vision ló gbé jáde.
Balẹ̀ mi olówó orí tèmi nìkan bó wà lára ọmọbìnrin wa kí ni wọ́n sọ nílé ìwòsàn.
Èmi ò rí túmọ̀ ká máa sáré gbọ́mọ lọ ilé ìwòsàn torí ara gbígbóná lásán. Kódà ó ti ń ṣeré ńgbà mo faṣọ tútù bá gbogbo ara rẹ̀.
A gbọ́dọ̀ lọ sí àyẹ̀wò fínífíní kí a lè mọ ohun tó wà nídìí ibà náà gan-an.
ṣé kí n ṣe ẹ̀rọ amúnáwá nìyẹn ẹ wo bí ṣe ń ṣe bí jẹ́ kí n lọ pé mẹkáníìkì ní kíákíá.
ẹ ti jẹ́ àwọn omi tútù ká dà lérò ọ̀hún lórí ó yẹ kó lè ṣiṣẹ́ dáadáa tí a bá ṣe báwọn.
àbá.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ti ní omi tútù lè dáwọ́ ara gbígbóná tí sọmọ wa dúró.
ìyá ọlọ́gbọ́n ẹ dákun ẹ bá ń ké mẹkáníìkì fún ẹ̀rọ amúnáwá yìí èké mi náà sáré gbọ́mọ lọ sílé ìwòsàn.
èyí kọ́gbọ́n o ṣe bó ti yẹ.
ara gbígbóná máa yíwọ́ o bí ènìyàn bá tètè mójútó ní kíákíá pàápàá jùlọ fún ọmọdé tí ọjọ́ orí rẹ̀ kò tí ì kọjá ọmọ ọdún 5 lọ ẹ jẹ́ kí a kọ́kọ́ ṣe àyẹ̀wò fún ìbànú kí a sì rí dájú wípé a lo oògùn wa tán pátápátá fún ìtọ́jú tó péye.
ìkéde yìí wá láti ọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ tó ń mójútó ọ̀rọ̀ ìlera àti àwọn èèyàn Amẹ́ríkà.
YS Live.
YS Live.
Thank you for being there, and glad to be here as well. It's still YS Live this beautiful Tuesday morning, and it's about that moment we have been waiting for. And it's something to be discussed and analyzed and trashed out very urgently, and everybody should know he's all right. It's getting there. It's getting there. Value-added tax, pros and cons. Who should administer VAT? Is VAT problematic in federations? Two great gentlemen are in the house with me this morning, and once again, let me just welcome them to the program for today. Rotimi Johnson, a very, very popular voice on radio. Honorable Jasokwe is a public affairs analyst, and he's also the SA media to Senator Kola Balogun. How is our distinguished senator doing?
He's doing very fine.
And once we say thank you to him for what he's doing concerning the Ibadan airport. The bill, we are getting there. We want to see moving from Ibadan to Amsterdam or to the US directly. We'll see. I know we'll see. We'll talk about that.
Very soon.
And also, I have Mr. Ayuade Oyediran, a seasoned banker, and also too much of a book here. Seasoned banker, BSc, accounting, Unilag, MSc, banking and finance from the prestigious University of Ibadan. Value-added tax, pros and cons. Gentlemen, here we are. While we were growing up, yes, we were always looking at it, and some of us were wondering, what is VAT? Is it something that is stamped on a product or what? And that's why I'm going to bring you, Mr. Ayuade, to, first of all, from the layman, let's get this before we go in depth. What is value-added tax?
VAT, as is always referred to, is an acronym, or call it abbreviation. Value-added tax. VAT. The key words there are value and added. In stages of a production, there are always chain line, be services, be goods. It's always in stages until you get to the final product. Be as it may, in each stage, there is additional value, and there's tendency to have tax imposed on all those stages, and that's why it is tagged as a value-added tax. To an extent, some will see it as a consumption tax, just because the value is always being given at the point of a consumption. But the key word, value are added as stages of a production, be goods and services.
Now, during agitation for restructuring and fiscal federalism boiled over recently, with the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt forbidding Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, from further collecting VAT in Rivers State and, by implication, any other state. We've always known that the body in charge of collecting VAT has always been the federal inland revenue. But here we are. There's a little bit of controversy these days. And I know with the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, coming out to say, how will a state like Lagos pick up, generates 8.3 billion naira for a particular period, and they are now getting 2.3 billion naira. What happens? This prompted the issue of, no, I think we need to look inward. This has to it has to be state generated. But other states, some states are saying we are in support of this. Others are saying the court is where we will resolve this. And over the last couple of weeks, it's been like that. Before I bring in Honorable Ojesokwe, I will ask you, as a financial expert, who should administer VAT?
Going by Nigerian context, and I will digress. Outside, VAT, as it's been called in Nigeria, in some countries, they call it goods and services tax. A typical example is Canada. However, if you want to go by the current issue, the current ruler value, which flex to the issue of litigation on the issue. My review of that ruling, to an extent, it has really exposed a lot of things. Because parties involved that thought I will have a safe landing, by going by the content of that order, the safe landing might not likely be like that to the first stage, even before the issue of appeal. Because as it is, the federal inland revenue cannot smile, neither the state concerned that have gone to judiciary for resolution yet to smile. In fact, going by the ruling from Port Harcourt, you and I might end up smiling. Because on the basis of that ruling, it is even identified that the fact that we are talking about is not included in all the listed tax collected by either party. However, the National Assembly is saddled with the responsibility of to know which tax to collect, which not to collect. They are the ones that are saddled with that responsibility. But it's so faulty that the fact that we are talking about, the fact edge, is not even included. So the issue now is, if NAS is responsible for saying these are the ones we are going to collect, or to an extent, the state, they can make law to collect tax, not that they can impose a tax. Now, you cannot build something or nothing. The issue in contention is not even listed. So what is the basis of your argument?
The issue is not listed. That's the overhead.
It's fact. It's not even included in the list of available tax to be collected. It's not listed.
And when you're saying it's not listed, why is it separate? Why is it not listed? What do you think has brought that aspect whereby it's not listed? I know the FIRS, they're trying to make, what's it called? The National Assembly put it on their...
that is what's bringing that.
Okay.
That is the fallout of it. Because you know the way we do things. Once you see things rolling, nobody might tend to look back that, have you perfected this thing? Is this in the perfect stage? And be as it may, because government has that blanket power, general power. At times they do a lot of wrongdoings. But if it is not challenged, if it is not brought to test of law, everybody will think things are normal. Until you now have to test law on certain issue, what does the law say? A lot of things that are yet to be perfected will now start coming to the open. This is coming to the open, and exactly the same way we find ourselves in the issue of a value-added tax.
Honorable Ojesokwe, let me take your view here. VAT just like my brother Mr. Idowu has stated here, the bone of contention is not even listed. So what's the hula baloo all about when what should have been in contention is not even there? So why it has to be me? It has to be my state. Each state should be the ones to control this. Why do you think this is happening? Are there other things attached to it that the poor masses, you and I, don't know about? What do you think about this?
Thank you. Well, the issue of being listed is actually by the way. Whether it is listed or not, you and I grew up to know that there is VAT and it's being collected, whether you like it or not. Because if you go to the mall, you make purchases, you pay VAT. You don't have options. So that one is certain. That one is settled. Now, on the issue of being listed, I think I was excited at the judgment. You know, I was so excited.
By the River State?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it occurred to me that there are a lot of things in our constitution that, a lot of rights that we have slept on. And that's an high hope now that, look, we need to dig further and see such loopholes that will eventually be able to give us the much agitated restructuring through the back door. If we can't get it through referendum or through the National Assembly, we might be able to get some of these things, you know, decentralizing the whole setup through the court. And that's what this judgment, that's what is suggesting to us, that we can get fiscal restructuring through this, you know, administration of VAT going back to the states. Before now, the states will collect it, remit to the FRS that goes to the National Treasury, then the government, the federal government will now disburse. And if you look at it very well, the contention actually is the fact that if I'm collecting so much in my state from VAT, then I'm expected to also collect so much. Because directly or indirectly, the revenue that comes from VAT, from the generation now, the revenue generation now, should also be commensurate with the revenue disbursement back to me.
Okay.
You understand very well. I had a marketing background in insurance company. We always have a basic allowance. Then you have commissions. The commission is based on your productivity. You call it production. So if states have been able to produce so much, then they should be able to get so much in return.
So why is this not happening?
If that is not happening, that is what prompted the Rivers State government that, look, we generate so much in VAT. And at the end of the month, what comes to us is far below what we even generate. That not enough. You now see some other states that did not generate as much, but they even get more. Where is that done? That's not fair. That's not equity. That's not promoting justice. So, in order to have it in a way that everybody will be comfortable, it will promote more productivity. Let states. Now, the judgment says Rivers State should collect its own. By implication, it means the VAT you collect is your own. Because that's the implication of that judgment. Because Rivers State has been collecting VAT, but sending to the federal government. But the implication of this judgment now is the states collect the VAT, the state owns the VAT. But the FRS is going to court now to challenge that and, you know, getting a stay of action. And that stay of action has been interpreted in several ways. But that is not really my own contention. Because at the end of the day, what are we getting out of this judgment? My own expectation is that at the end of the day, every state will get the larger sum of the VAT collected in your state. In a situation where Kano State, for example, was able to raise only 2.8 billion in VAT, and that same month got the same amount. Whereas
Lagos State generated about 8 point something
and got less than 20% of what they generated. You generated 100%, got the 100%. It's not fair.
Now, I want to put it at you guys. Now, should there be a standard sharing formula for this so that all this hula baloo would, everybody knows what you generate, this is how much goes to each state?
Olatunde, there has always been a general sharing formula. But what we are saying is the general sharing formula has not been fair, has not been encouraging productivity. Even the Bible says that the husbandman should be the first to partake of the fruit. But when in a situation where you're making the person that labor for something first serve others before you hit, it's not fair.
Now, Mr. Oyediro, let me just ask you. For instance, you and I know a state like River State, an oil-producing state, Akwa Ibom, all these oil-producing states. It hasn't really been too fair for them when they generate billions and they get minute thing. So, do you think this was what the governor of River State, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, got angry about? That how can my state be making this huge sum and I'm still the state is getting this very minute back to my state, when a state like Kano, because there was a time I actually taught the north and I saw that the northern states is just full of lands. And what do you think can be done to put this right? Is there anything to be done?
Like I told you, like I said, I still emphasize the issue of a listing that we are trying to waive our men from. I never said PE is not listed. Content of the available tax to be collected.
Okay.
I never say company income tax is not listed. But I emphasize the loophole with the issue of a VAT. And I maintain you cannot be something or nothing. That one might be for another day. However, the issue of a sharing formula, the issue of whatever, like when I was giving my definition, I said when it comes to production, be services, be goods, there are stages and there are processes. It's not a one-man thing. And that's why the issue of value added is a process. A lot of people contributed to it before you get to the final product. But the thing is just that at the consumption stage is when the tax is being cheated. And that's what is causing the confusion to some people, except somebody that has deep knowledge of the process. Lagos be at its mean because it's headquarters of most organizations. The end result of most of them when they want to pay to be Lagos. That does not mean it's only Lagos that get through process of such products. Beer, alcohol they produce maybe in Southeast and the likes, when they find their way for sales in Lagos, and maybe most of their even other offices, they are in Lagos. Lagos has advantage of headquarters. Take for example MTN now. MTN has headquarters here, a lot of banks, a lot of financial institutions, they have a headquarters in Lagos. So that means to an extent, Lagos will enjoy that. And as most of those people, when they want to pay their VAT, they will pay those things through Lagos. But as it's made, the MTN I'm talking about, the process from call me from Jigawa, call me from Kano, it's sum up to whatever MTN is paying. So if you are now saying ignore Jigawa, ignore Kano, they contributed to whatever the MTN head office is paying as the value added tax. And that is the way it goes. Because even financial institutions, most of their offices in other location states, when they want to pay their VAT, even from their contractor or wherever, they will pay centrally where the head office is located. And Lagos has that opportunity of having a lot of headquarters more than any other person. And on the strength of that, they get to get lion chunk. Fine, the division can be brought in because I made so much. But to an extent, they are not the only person that are involved in the production process. And that's why from the angle of the way it has been. Federal government on their own too, they have their own portion within VAT. The state, they have their own portion within VAT. Based on the sharing formula, they have 15, 50, and 35. the sharing formula. What it means in essence is that there are a lot of parties. In fact, by the time the federal government said you can go this way, Lagos State will feel some blue. Because the issue of multiple tax will come in now. If Lagos State is collecting, or your state will say this thing pass through me. Oh yeah, wait, where's my own tax? Ogun State will say this thing pass through me. Stop that vehicle. Where is my own tax? In fact, in a country like India, where it is adopted, it causes a lot of trouble, even for the business people. Because when you have to face a lot of tax challenges from so many states and the likes, at the end of the day, it will affect their business. What I would have said them is that to come to a round table and look for a better way of resolving that thing. Otherwise, it will affect business people. You have a lot of challenges with a lot of business, a lot of tax. Multiple tax will come in. Multiple tax will come in, and at the end of the day, you know the implication for business people.
Okay, you want to react to that? Okay.
Yes, I want to react to that. Two things. One, on the issue of particularly the example of MTN given, I don't really think it is applicable, because if VAT is what VAT is, and like he explained, because I'm not a financial expert, then the issue of multiple taxation will not come in, because it is no, don't limit it. Please hold on. It is on consumption, at the point of consumption. Okay. In which case, if MTN is able to generate, sorry, we are using a particular network. If a network provider is able to generate 10 billion naira in Oyo State, it is on that 10 billion that the tax is being paid. You understand? It does not matter if it generates 1 billion in Zamfara or Nasarawa or even 500 million. It is on such, because that is what Zamfara or Nasarawa has contributed to NPSO, and they will pay it in their state. So if in Oyo State, for instance, it generates 5 billion, it's from the 5 billion that the VAT will be collected. So I don't see issue that because the headquarters is somewhere, it will affect it. Then in public administration, there are always teething problems. When you bring up something like this, we begin to develop and evolve as time goes on. Just like when you are talking about decentralizing the security architecture of this country, and people are saying that the state administration will, they will abuse. Everything is subject to abuse. But as you go on, you learn not to abuse, and you learn to get redress in the court of law when there is abuse. Even the federal police system is still being abused. So these are not excuses. What we are saying is, let there be fairness. If I'm working so much, let me get so much. Look at the case. You were saying that what actually prompted Governor Wike. Governor Wike was prompted by the issue of gold in Zamfara. Zamfara was exploring gold and exporting directly. And I remember very well that Governor Wike said, if Zamfara can do that on solid minerals, why can't I do that on the crude oil in my backyard? Zamfara is determining what profit comes to Zamfara directly from the gold it exploited. So why can't I determine the profit? And I guess that's what generated the argument that, look, if what is good for Zamfara is also good for
River State.
And Lagos State thought, when River State that is even second on the cadre for VAT collection in Nigeria, Lagos State is the highest generator of VAT. That, what am I looking at? Like the Yorubas with a kilo shibu tell me, let me to go to court. Let me be joined in this case. So this issue, my own opinion is that this argument must continue, because it is a fundamental thing that when an idea comes to a man's mind, it is like an elastic. It might be difficult to return the elastic to its initial limit. It has been stretched. You have given us an idea. Now, everybody will want to see where it goes to. We have seen an opportunity that can be exploited. And human beings, the way we are, until it is fairly educated, there will be no peace on this issue. And I want to suggest that a midpoint, a compromise, is to increase the share and make it commensurate to the input. If that is not done, because what the present arrangement is such that you collect from all the states, you send to federal government. Federal government now takes 50% of everything that is collected, share with the state. 35% share with the local government and withholds 15%. In that sharing formula, in their sharing arrangement, there is no consideration for your input. Everything comes together, then you now share from a general purse. That is not fair.
Okay, go ahead.
Like
Go
I
ahead.
said, it does not work like that. Even I want to take example of a
a little bit.
I want to take example of financial institutions. We have branches scattered all over. The payment of VAT,
yes,
or VAT related to all those education, is being centrally paid. If you have a Baggy branch, you have a Oyinbo branch, you have whatever. Since your headquarters is located in Lagos, everybody will pull whatever VAT
to Lagos. Okay.
So at the end of the day, since the headquarters is in Lagos, the final lab will be done in Lagos. And when we are reading it, it will look like something that is generated in Lagos. But a lot of people contributed to it. And that's why I emphasize, unless you take to recognize the issue of a production chain, if you ignore issue of production chain, you'll be seeing it in the other direction. Take, for example, let them, they are bringing cow from Jigawa now, process and the likes. That cow get to Lagos. To an extent, maybe it was slaughter and the likes. Now turn out to be what you serve in the hotels and the likes. Normally, one of the classifications of one of the group that donated much to area is a hotel and the likes. You scatter, then you slaughter, dining and the likes. Definitely you pay VAT and all those hotels and the likes. The source of whatever you slaughter in Lagos, where did it come from?
It came from Jigawa.
Jigawa.
Okay.
Is contributing to it. And that is why emphasis of derivation, I will not ignore it. You put in so much, you collect so much, then this is that. And that position is there. It might not, it's just that it might not be enough. And the reason for what is happening now is for it's still like Lagos to see you are not treating me fine. A place like Rivers can see you are not treating me fine. But as long as you recognize production chain, then a lot of party contributed to whatever you call the so-called VAT, as the case may be.
Is it an aspect whereby, because operating a federal economy like us, a federation like us, do you think this is where the problem is, being a federation? Because looking at countries like Australia, Switzerland, and the US, the only 3 OECD countries that have not switched over to VAT are all federations. Now, is this affecting the country being a federation? This VAT, is it a problematic thing in federations?
Well, it's not a problematic thing from the little assessment I want to give it. You see, there's one adage that says, or let me put it in Yoruba, tí nǹkan tá à ń jẹ bá tán, nǹkan tá à ń jẹ ló kù. Alternatives is what is playing out. COVID brought challenges, a lot of shortfall, a lot of delays. Where can we look again to take care of the situation? When things were going fine, nobody is looking at that area. But the beauty of it is that as event unfold, as you move, a lot of changes, a lot of operations, a lot of appearance, a lot of identification will come in. And basically, what is bringing this one is that I look around. This thing is not doing well. Things are not going as expected. Can we look at this area? But unfortunately, when you are looking at that area that you think you have been cheated, did you go deep into what are involved in that thing? Do you really analyze the legal implication of all those things? Where I'm not a lawyer was based on the current ruling that is being challenged. To an extent, Rivers and Lagos State will be shocked that they don't have total access to that of having a safe landing on that thing. And that's the beauty of it. It exposes a lot of things. On the part of federal government, we can see their own. On the part of state that is clamoring that we are there, this thing is almost done. They now realize that in totality, it is not done. And I maintain the masses, if you really want to go through now, except there is a challenge of it in the appeal court, masses can just say, so all this while you have been cheating us. It's unconstitutional. But because we share a lot of benefits on certain things, all of us will just look this way. Is there any way to make trouble? Is there any justification to make trouble? And that's why the issue of collection of fact has been like that today, until we can say, what am I going to do now that local government, they want to give them the autonomy. Lagos say they want to give them the autonomy. That means I cannot look at that direction again. Where do I go to? Is there any option there? Can I try this one? And in the process of trial, a lot of things that we don't even know as masses started coming up. And that is why, to an extent, I said there could be cheating, there could be misappropriation or sharing formula irregularity. I give that one to maybe the kind of Lagos State and River State and the like they are coming. But be as it may, the best way to resolve this kind of thing is to say, what is your complaint? What is my complaint? Because if you go into even some country that adopted the scatter one, it causes a lot of problem with business people. And these are the business people that will give you this money. Because like I said, if you say you cannot you put your load until you pay this, the tax consultant will have to go and say, let me identify the content of good you have. 3 days, 4 days. The good is yet to be determined to the destination. Who is losing? The business people that are expected to pay, they are losing. And I cited the example of India. That is the position in India when you are operating it. When they get to the roadblock, they will say, wait, you have to identify the content. We value it. You move from that state, you go to another state, you want to identify it, you value it. But when you look at all it, try that kind of a thing in Nigeria. The so-called people that you expected to give you value, you have already messed them up, you have already traumatized them. A lot of days are spent, a lot of days are wasted. At the end of the day, you might not even get so much for all those things. But in a country like Canada, they do it. And it is very. In this state, it might be 5%, another state might be 7%, they have a kind of gap. Because of their own advancement, in the way they do this most of the time, they can do it and get away with it. But in Nigerian context, if you want to do that kind of a thing, you have to perfect it. And at the same time, the production chain is something you cannot overlook in the process of what you are.
Is it even possible? Is it even possible that this can be done in Nigeria?
The scatter one. Like I told you, it might be a bit tight in Nigeria. Let's leave even this one of a constitution and an aspect about it. Facilities, the way we do things. See issue of an international passport alone now. You know how many days it take you now to even get international passport. So you are now bringing those kinds of challenges into area of business, and therefore, you know what we are using. So, and that's why if it's going to come up at all, a lot of things have to be in place. Even the so-called state that they are talking about that they want to collect, do they have the capacity? Do they have the facility? It's easy to say, I want to collect because of the benefit. What are the facilities, the technology? I'm not speaking for FRS, but they have been doing it for some time. To an extent, they know how to do it, and that they have been getting value for all those things. So a lot of things comes to it. Technicalities are there, terrains, geographical spread, and so many things are evident to it before you can see to an extent. But because we have countries that are already operating it, a kind of Canada I cited, I will not say it's not a no-go area. But Nigerian content, more so, we are already just coming out maybe from a recession. If we bring this issue now that causes a lot of crisis, then you can never be our brother's keeper on the content of sharing and the likes.
Honorable, I know you've been looking at it that I know there are still other ways to this and this. What's your take concerning Mr. Idiro's submission?
Thank you. Because of my own background, he is more of a financial person. I would want to try and think like Governor Wiki or Governor Sanwo. You understand? You know, as he was talking, I assumed that, you know, he came to me as the governor and telling that, I'll just tell them, look, when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. First, let's resolve this fairness issue. Because that's it. When we got to the issue of, okay, you know, taking into consideration the production line, let the cow seller and the meat seller also have their own taxes. Let's see, because it's consumption tax.
You know the danger of multiple taxes.
We also presently we have multiple taxes, and multiple taxes are not peculiar to Africa or to Nigeria. There are issues in any, you know, commercial setting.
Multiple
It's a negative.
It's a negative thing, but it exists.
Yes.
And you can't, because of multiple taxing, stop taxes entirely. You understand? You only keep evolving to resolve the issue of multi. I will give you a very good example.
Okay.
Because if you're talking about decentralizing taxes, because that's all this talks about, the issue of mobile advertisement, for instance, the advertisement on your vehicle, you know, it's collected at the state.
Obviously.
Even local governments collect. But that you are exempted when you cross from one local government to the other. I can't collect in Oluyole local government now, and I have evidence of payment and collection, and now go to Ibadan Northwest, and Ibadan Northwest wants to still charge me. And even if you travel out of your state, you are exempted once you have the proof that you have paid. But we can only take a clue from some of these things. Nigeria is not exceptionally developed, but we have that. And the truth is, when you go to the Niger Delta area, irrespective of where you are coming from, if you are not bold enough, they still want you to pay that mobile card again. You see the guys, they will come on the street and say, they will block your vehicle. If you have traveled along that, where is your this? Where? So if you are not sure of yourself, they will make you pay again. So the tax collectors, that's why they call them agbowopa. They will not mind to tax you multiple times. But you yourself must be ahead of your game. That's why you have accountants and we have people like this to make sure that we are not overtaxed. Because the issue of multiple tax is different for even being overtaxed if you're not careful. If you have your own you have to be very careful not to be overtaxed. Those are different issues. The issue on the front burner now is that there must be fairness. I can't be working for so much, I've been getting so little. That's the basis. Let's leave all other, permutation and, arguments.
But this has been in play for years. And why is it now?
Olatunde, a bishop said, how long you have been on the journey does not guarantee the arrival at the right destination. The fact that this has been on for long does not mean it is right. It is not right. It is not promoting fairness. It is not promoting equity. I tell people that some of these things we talk about in our national anthem, pledge, we have made them to just become sloganeering and rhetorics. How do they manifest in our leadership, in our administration? How do they reflect? How are the younger generation beginning to see the evidence of some of these things we reside manifesting in our day-to-day life? If you're talking about equity, you're talking about fairness, and everything they see is contrary to this, and you want them to be patriotic, you want them to believe in the nation. If you are not working for so much, you should not get for so much. It's simple. It's fairness.
So much to discuss about, gentlemen. It's getting hotter. I'm feeling it inside here myself. And I hope the VAT is not going to come in here this morning. We have been discussing value-added tax, the pros and cons, and two great gentlemen analyzing for us this morning. But we'll take a short commercial break.